What is up, YouTube? This is Brandon from Rockin WoodWerks. I need to build a lumber rack. Stick around. Watch me build it. Once I figured out where I wanted it, took some measurements, and came up with 32 inches tall by 3.5 inches wide for the vertical supports. I'm using scraps for everything, so dig through the scrap pile, find the pieces I need, rip them down to the final width of 3.5 inches. And then after I'm done with that, I use my miter gauge right here. See that? And measured out 32 inches and cut them all down to the final height. Now, when I said that I use scraps for everything, I meant I use scraps for everything. I didn't have any screws long enough that I could just put them through the face of this and they'd reach the studs. So I took my Craig jig drill bit with the collar and set the depth and pre-drilled all the holes so the screws would be long enough to anchor it to the stud. And here I am just, drilling away because that's fun. So I ripped a bunch of 3/4 inch OSB down to 4 inches wide, set up a stop block on my miter gauge, and cut those down to 12 inches, which will give me an 8.5 inch shelf to put the lumber on. Using the same material as the vertical supports, so it's the same width, I marked out 8.5 inches in super slow-mo for added dramatic effect. Is it working? Is it dramatic enough? I think it's pretty dramatic. So anyway, so I cut it down to 8.5 inches, and I just used my circular saw because my miter saw sucks. It really does. It doesn't cut 90s for crap. After that, I take those pieces, go back to the table saw, and rip them down to 2 inches. And those will go in between the two pieces of OSB to form the shelf, and gives it a lot more strength. Once all the pieces were cut to final size, I wanted to add an angle on the bottom side of the shelves just for looks mainly. So put the center support part in it, marked that out on the back side of it, and on the very front I just measured down 2 inches. I don't know why I did that. I could have just used the piece, but anyway, used a ruler to mark the line out, and then you'll see me tape a bunch of them together and go over to the bandsaw and cut that out. I'm recording a video right now. So I just wanted to say that this bandsaw, I found it on Craigslist for, I think it was 80 bucks he was asking. I was able to talk him down to 70, which isn't that big of a difference, but it's 10 bucks, and 10 bucks is 10 bucks, right? So the only thing I had to do to it was change the blade, and it works perfect. Now for final assembly, a little bit of glue, some brad nails, and bam, you have a shelf to hold some wood made out of wood. There's a lot of wood in this shop. And this is what the shelves are going to look like put up on the wall. It's a pretty simple design. There's a bunch of these all over YouTube. A lot of people use this. And to install it, I just drilled through the vertical supports into the studs. Luckily my garage isn't finished, so I can see exactly where the studs are just by the tape lines, or the mud lines. I placed them at every other stud, and I don't have a 4-foot level, so what I did was I used a edge cutting guide, one of the aluminum ones that you can get from Home Depot, and spread that out over the two shelves to make them level. And I just used some 1 1/4 inch Craig pocket screws. I really like those for anything that needs strength because it's a washer built into it, so they work out really well. And all that's left to do now is sort through all my lumber and put it all up. I really like the way this came out. It's gonna help out a lot. Alright, I just want to say thanks for watching if you stuck around this long. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And please, 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 if you like this video, hit the like button. Here's a couple pictures of what it looks like installed with all the lumber on it. So, see you guys later. Have fun and be safe.